You're new to the podcast, so you might not know, but I'm obsessed with Nick Claxton. Just one of my faves. The defense, like we know about the defense, he's like maybe the most versatile center, and he's one of the three most versatile defensive centers in the game. Offensively, there was like a real leap there, and I know the percentages kind of like dipped a little bit later in the year, but just the open space drives or faking the dribble, like faking the handoffs into drives. That was a huge development. Is there like, does he have one, what impressed you most about his development last year? And two, are there other levels that he can still add to what he's done?
So first of all, he led the league in field goal percentage, in field goal percentage last year.
And this isn't like DeAndre, like he was taking hook shots again. We just mentioned he's going after drives.
It's so nice to talk to a fellow Nick Claxton appreciator, because you see it, like it wasn't just like Clint Capella Houston leading the league in field goal percentage. Like I'm catching a dunk every single time. Like there was a lot of one dribble, two dribble drives, like righty finishes, high off the glass, hook shots. Believe me, if you ever wanted to look through all the clips that I have downloaded, I have 10 minutes of otherwise maybe uninspiring, hook shots and spin moves against Brook Lopez. But to me and you, to guys like us, it's like a pot of gold. So thank you for letting me go on that little rant.
And fun aside, my rant to your rant would be when I clipped something in the middle of last year because I was just like, I'd watched successive games and like what he was doing. I was like, what the hell is going on? So I posted videos of what I had noticed, and there were people that responded saying, I thought this was Kevin Durant on the ball when I was watching. And I'm like, man, I mean, he's not quite that, but it was just like, it was so just the growth on offense, like even just the expansion functions, forget the efficiency, but the expansion was just so stark.
Well, if you recall his draft kind of, his status as a draft prospect, he pretty much ran point guard for like.
I did not know that.
He pretty much was a big guard for an awful Georgia team that won like 3 games in SEC play. And he was really like a big wing and a switch guy, and he pushed the ball in transition, and he didn't average a ton of blocks. And he fell to the second round because I think a lot of teams were like, what do we do with this really? And he took a good amount of threes too. And I think if you would ever want to get into the draft weeds, it was like teams too worried about role and fit versus like, holy shit, look at this 6'11", uber talented, crazy athlete, super coordinated, like plug and play guy, which he became. So the offense, it's a contract year, a fact not lost on anybody with the Nets. And I really hope, because the offense may struggle in the half court, I hope they just turn him loose on some more hub actions. Like, hey, fake dribble handoff. You can get from the 3-point line to the rim in one dribble and finish with either hand. There was a game against the Kings last year where he was switched on Terrence Davis 2 possessions in a row. This is the stuff I'll never forget. Like, and they post him up on Terrence Davis, end one, post up, like spin move, lefty hook. Next possession, I think he gets fouled again, but has to shoot 2 free throws. And then they didn't do it for like 3 weeks after that. So trust me, I want to see it just as badly as you do, but it was wildly impressive last year.
Do you have any, just because we haven't seen a ton of it, like, can he play with Ben Simmons?
I don't know. We have seen a little of it, but if he's playing with the Ben Simmons that he played with last year, that's just a Ben Simmons problem. You know what I mean? It's like Ben Simmons needs to be Ben Simmons for that to work. And honestly, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a season-long work in progress. Like, they're talking about it in preseason, and we're 3 weeks in, and I already feel bad asking Jacque Vaughn more questions, because it's like, what else is there to say? It's tough to space with 2 absolute non-3-point threats. Like, they're going to be working on it in December. So we'll see. I mean, ideally, the defense and transition outweighs any potential half-court spacing issues. That's the hope, I think.
And if you're going to put 3 shooters around them at all times in those lineups, which I assume I don't know why you wouldn't. It should make it a little bit easier. I know we've talked about the prevailing theme of they haven't chosen a direction. There's optionality. Are they prepared to react this season to what's happened? Or do you think they should be prepared to react to what's happening this season in season? Or is this more of a team that would play, like maybe they're better than expected? Do they put some of those picks on the table to get someone to help them? If they're not that good, do they then look at, okay, do we lean a little bit? Do we see what we can get from some of these guys? And like, are they good, or is it more, you use the phrase slow play? Like they're just going to play the season out. They'll recalibrate over next summer.
There was a lot of noise about them trading Dorian and Royce this offseason, and they didn't. I think that says more to me like they're confident that they can deal one of those two at the deadline if need be for a first round pick, or that their value hasn't appreciated. I would say that's the one. I would say the reaction that they need to make this season, the one that they really can't afford to mess up, they cannot lose Nick Claxton for nothing this offseason.
Masai Ujiri disagrees. Losing players for nothing is good business.
It is good business if you really love winning 36 games. No shade to the Raptors.
No, they're all sorry. Then I'll take it. All the shade to the Raptors. You had one of the worst off seasons recent memory. I am fascinated. This is aside what Nick Claxton ends up getting in free agency, because I think a lot of people write off as like, oh, it's just this skinny rim running big who's versatile. Like he'll make like maybe he'll get 15. I'm like, just after watching him offensively, I'm like, and even as a rim protector, like whether it's helping or it's just like it's the standstill guy going up against some physical opponents, like that dude might get paid. I mean, I don't look at the cap space landscape and say, oh, this team is going to give him a crap ton of money, but he's just good enough to where it could actually happen.
And this is not a slight to Cam Johnson, but Cam Johnson's making $22.5 million a year. I think that's the AAV. Nick Claxton, 25 then, right? I mean, this is one of the, at least at worst, I mean, the 10 best defenders in the NBA who has like this legit offensive skill where even if he never develops any of this stuff we're talking about and he can just screen and throw down dunks, he shot 70% from two last season. And yeah, the free throws are a worry. Dinwiddie had a quote this year that one of his main goals this season is to get Nick Claxton paid $100 million in free agency. And then he said, Nick Claxton is in a great spot. And I quote, because even if he shits the bed this year, he can still get $75 to $80 million. And
I'm surprised Sean Marks didn't waive Spencer Dinwiddie on the spot for like up in the price tag on Nick Claxton like that.
Yeah, no, that's Spencer right there. But it's true. I mean, like, if you're going to get really analytical and this ESPN list came out and whatever, and if you concede that Nick Claxton is one of the 5 best rim protectors in the NBA, maybe if not as a drop guy, then like a weak side help guy and a one-on-one
for sure,
guy.
definitely as like the help guy, yeah,
definitely as the help guy, and he can switch out on the perimeter, and he's a really good interior offensive big, even though he struggles with free throw shooting. That kind of sounds like a top. I mean, if you don't want to say 30 most valuable player, 40, 50. I mean, I wouldn't feel comfortable putting him past 50.
So it gets tough just because when you're not like the offensive hub type, at least they haven't used you that way. But I would say like, if we sat here and said, I think Nick Claxton is going to be a top 50 player by the end of this season, like that is not, I don't think that's a reach. Like that is absolutely something that could happen.